Cobi cernalis anakku sing ayu rupane tetia pendekare bangsa Cobi
sekalian yang sudah bergabung, selamat bergabung. Bapak Ibu sekalian, kepada para peserta dimohon kesediaannya untuk tidak mengaktifkan audio ketika acara berlangsung, terutama pada saat native speaker kemudian berbicara terkait dengan materi yang dibawakan. Sebelum kita mulai, mungkin ada beberapa Bapak Ibu, silakan untuk menggunakan yang berdekatan duduknya, silakan menggunakan dulu earphone-nya, biar tidak terjadi gema antara satu peserta dan peserta yang lain. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, good morning, and also good evening to all attendants joining us from various parts of the world. Welcome to the global webinar organized by Jurusan Pendidikan Anak Usia Dini Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan UNM with the theme Strengthening Early Learning Foundation from Lifelong Success. We are truly honored to have with us today distinguished speakers and participants from across the globe. My name is Sri Sugiyarti, and I will be your master of ceremony for today's event. Before we begin, allow me to guide you through our program. This is the opening session of our webinar, which will be held virtually. Remind everyone to stay mute unless called upon and to use the chat box for questions or comments during the event. To formally commence our session, let us now listen to national anthems of our participant countries: Indonesia, India, Greece, Armenia, and France.
Ada suaranya sih.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमालय हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you for the answers. Now we will hear the committee report from the organizing committee. Please welcome Dr. Rika Kurnia, our S.Pd, M.Pd.
Thank you for MC. Distinguished speaker, honorable guests, and dear participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam sejahtera, salam, om swastiastu, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us from different parts of the world. On behalf of the organizing committee, I'm honored to welcome you to the global webinar on early learning, empowering the next generation, hosted by the Early Childhood Education Program, Fakultas of Education, FIP, Universitas Negeri Makassar, which is held virtually via Zoom today, September 30, 2024. The theme of this event, strengthening early learning position for lifelong success, underscore the critical role of early education in shaping the future of our children and ultimately our world. This webinar has brought together an outstanding lineup of renowned international speakers who will share their insight, experiences, and research on how we can empower young learners to build some foundation for their lifelong learning journey. We are privileged to have experts from various fields and countries is bringing a unique perspective on early childhood education. Let me introduce our distinguished speaker for today's event. 1. Dr. Subhadra Chalyadurai from Pioneer Kumaraswamy College, Tamil Nadu, India, whose expertise spans multiple disciplines, including psychology and sociology. 2. Professor Rania Lampou from the Great Ministry of Education, known for work in educational innovation and STEM education for young learners. 3. Dr. Babur Sobirov, Associate Professor, Tashkent State University, Uzbekistan, specializing in economics in its M.Phil on early learning. 4. Dr. Samsuardi from Universitas Negeri Makassar, Indonesia, who will share local perspective on early childhood education practices. We are grateful for the opportunity to host such a prestigious event, and I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the speaker, participants, and the organizing team who worked tirelessly to make this event possible. Throughout this webinar, to exchange knowledge, explore new ideas, and discuss practical solutions to enhance early childhood education worldwide. We believe that by strengthening the foundation of early learning, we can foster future generations who are not only academically capable, but also emotionally, socially, and cognitively resilient. I hope that webinar will inspire of all us. Thank you our effort in ensuring the every child, regardless of their background. He asks to quality early education that will enable them to thrive in life. Once again, thank you all for your participation, and I wish you a productive and insightful session ahead. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Salam warahmatullahi
Thank you for
wabarakatuh.
the report, Dr. Rika Kurnia. And then, ladies and gentlemen, now we will see opening remarks from we invited, Professor Abdul Saman, M.Sc, Ph.D. Hon, Dean of the Faculty of Education, to deliver the official welcome and opening remarks. Please, Professor Abdul Saman.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
sir.
MC. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum to everyone join to us from abroad. It's with great pleasure that I welcome you to the global webinar on early learning, empowering the next generation, hosted by the Early Childhood Education Program, Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Makassar. Today, September 30, 2024, we gather virtual to explore the critical theme of strengthening early learning foundation for lifelong success. The of early childhood education cannot be overstated. It serves the cornerstone for the development of the future generation. A strong foundation in the early years not only enhances academic performance but also contribute to the emotional, social, and cognitive growth the child needs to thrive throughout their lives. I'm deeply honored that we have such a distinguished lineup of speakers today who are all leaders in their perspective file for early childhood education and development. The first, Dr. Subrata Durei from Pioneer Kumaraswamy College, Tamil Nadu, India, who brings a multidisciplinary perspective on child development and education. The next, from Rania Lampou, from Professor Rania Lampou, the Greek Ministry of Education, a champion of education innovation and STEAM education. Next, Professor Arusha Ifayan from Northern University, Armenia, who will share her expertise on the challenge and opportunity in early education. Next, Dr. Babur Sobirov from Tashkent University, Uzbekistan, who work in education and economics, is vital to understand the broader impact of early learning. And finally, Dr. Samsudi from University Negeri Makassar, Indonesia, who will provide valuable insight in local childhood education. I would to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the speaker their time and education to sharing their knowledge with us. Also thank participants who have taken the time to join us today in the important discussion. As we move through today's event, let us keep in mind the critical responsibility we share in empowering the next generation. The discussion and knowledge share will doubly inspire and guide us as we work to improve the quality of childhood education both in our local context and globally. I also want to acknowledge the support of the organizing committee for their hard work in making this event possible. Your dedication has brought together the first and insightful group of experts to discuss how we can set a better future for our children through education. I hope that this webinar will serve as a meaningful platform for sharing ideas, experience, and strategy that will help us build strong education foundation for the next generation. I think so. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. M.Sc,
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we would like to share a special video that highlights the vision, mission, and also key achievements of our early childhood department. Please take a moment to watch the following presentation. Thank you for watching the department profile video. This brings us to the conclusion of the opening ceremony. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Abdul Saman, M.Sc, Ph.D. for officially opening today's event, as well as to all of you, our distinguished guests and participants, for your attendance this morning. As we now move forward with the main session of the day, we encourage everyone to remain engaged as we listen to our esteemed speaker who will be sharing this knowledge and expertise on education for sustainable development, preparing the next generation. We will begin the first session shortly, but before that, let's take a quick break to capture a group photo with everyone here. Please, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, turn on your cameras for a virtual group photo. Let's commemorate this event together. Please, ladies and gentlemen, open your video on count of 3. Let's all please give us your best smile for us in your camera. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you very much. And then next slide. 1, 2, 3, smile. Next slide. Next slide. Slide. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we conclude the opening ceremony. The third session will be begin momentarily, so please stay tuned. Thank you very much. And then I will begin to introduce our moderator for today. Now, I will call Delphina.
Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear my voice?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
Filipino
M.Pd,
lecturer
of
childhood
Education
education
in here, Faculty of Education, Universitas
Universitas
Makassar.
Okay, well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the global webinar on early learning, empowering the next generation with the theme Strengthening Early Learning Foundation for Lifelong Success. So this event is hosted by the Early Childhood Education Program, the Faculty of Education, Universitas Negeri Makassar. And I'm Delphina, I'm your host for today and also moderator. And I'm very thrilled to be guiding you through this exciting and insightful session. So today's webinar focuses on a vital topic, which is strengthening the foundations of early learning, which are crucial for the lifelong success of children around the world. We have brought together some experts from different countries to share their knowledge and perspective on how we can build better educational systems for our youngest learners. Without further ado, let me introduce our distinguished speakers for today's webinar. First, we have Dr. Subhadra Cheladurai from JC Kanyakumari Pioneer India. Dr. Cheladurai is an expert in educational psychology and child development. Her insights on early learning strategies from a psychological perspective. And also we have Professor Rania Lampou from the Greek Ministry of Education. She's known for her contributions to STEM education and innovative learning practices. So Prof. Rania today will discuss about applied neuroscience in early childhood. Then we have Dr. Babur Sobirov, Associate Professor at Tashkent State University of Economics from Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan. So Dr. Sobirov today will provide valuable insights on the role of economics in shaping sustainable early childhood education systems. And last but not least, we have Dr. Samswardi from Early Childhood Department of Universitas Negeri Makassar. Today he will talk about transformation of digital literacy in Indonesia. And each of our speakers today will have 30 minutes for their presentation, including Q&A, question and answer session at the end of each talk. So I encourage everyone to please, if you have any questions, please type your question in the chat box, or later after each of their presentation, that you can also have a face-to-face session with them to talk to them directly, and we will address the question after during the Q&A session. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Subhatra Chiladrai from JC Kanyakumari Pioneer, India. Dr. Subhatra, the time is yours.
Am I audible and clear?
Yes, that's perfect, my dear professor.
Thank you so much. And good morning to everyone, the most respected organizers and participants of this virtual conference. Happy morning to all. It's really a great pleasure for me to join with you all for the global webinar on early generations. It's a early learning in early childhood development. So let me take an opportunity to share the slide, please. Just confirm whether it is started or not. Yes?
That's more, Professor. Yes, that's more. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here as one of the speakers in this esteemed webinar organized by Universitas Negeri Makassar, alongside distinguished speakers from Greece, America, Indonesia, and Uzbekistan. Today, I'll be discussing a topic that lies at the heart of our collective future: early learning, empowering the next generations. I thank the organizers personally for playing the national anthem, the Indian national anthem. It's my privilege to hear, and everyone, I'm happy for that sake. As we gather from the different corners of the globe, we are united by a common goal to explore how early education shapes not only individuals' lives, but also the social and economic fabric of our societies. The early years are a critical period for children's development, laying a groundwork for lifelong learning and well-being. Throughout this session, I invite you to engage with me as we dwell into a significance of early learning, examining the changes we face and discuss the collaborative solution we can implement to ensure that every child has the opportunity to thrive. Together, let's embark on this important journey, inspire positive change of the future generations. So as we know, the early learning for lifelong success, we must first think about what is early learning. Early learning, it refers to a critical education experience children receive from birth to around 8 years of age. And during this time, children's brains develop rapidly, and foundational skills for long life learning, that lifelong learning, that socialization and well-being are found. And why it is important? Research shows that around 85% of child's brain development happens before the age of 5. And this means that yearly experience significantly shape how a child learns, feels, and interacts with the world. In global perspective or global relevance, if you see, according to UNICEF, especially around 43% of children under the age of 5 in low and middle income countries are at risk not only reaching their development potential. This kind of data shows that how critical is for prioritize early education. In the learning on lifelong success, especially in academic achievement. The children who attend high quality yearly learning perform better in reading and also in mathematics and are more likely to graduate from high school. And studies shows that this yearly education can reduce the need for special education and lower dropout rates. The students, one who undergoes the yearly learning, the dropouts rates also gets reduced. In the social kind of, while we see the social and emotional development with reference to child learning education, that early learning environments help children develop crucial social skills such as cooperation, empathy, and problem solving. And these are the building blocks of emotional intelligence, which is a key for future success in both personal and professional life. For every dollar invested in early education, society can expect up to a return of $7 in return for every dollar. The investment what we give in early education is going to give high returns. This is due to the improved academic outcomes, increased workforce participation, and reduced social costs such as crime and welfare dependencies. Coming to the health aspect of this early education for children, who receives early education also have better health outcomes, such as reduced chances of obesity, then mental health problems, and chronic diseases later in life. They'll be more active and comparatively a good personality in future. And access, the current challenges what we face in order to implement this early childhood learning. This access and inequality. The one biggest challenge is that millions of children, especially in low income communities, do not have access to quality early childhood programs. So this deepens the educational inequality gap from young age. Although early learning is recognized as essential, governments around the world often underfund it. So in many institutions, even in the family circumstances we see, we won't spend much on this early educations. We think that let them play at home, let them be at home. Let's control the child. So controlling child is not parenting. Most people think that the controlling and educating them, advising them is parenting. So it is not so. And policies are inconsistent, and there is lack of infrastructure and trained educator, especially in underserved areas. So this is one such thing which we face a current challenge. And the digital divide, we see during even in the COVID-19, it revealed that how the digital divide can impact early learners. So many children did not have access to digital devices or high-speed internet, making it hard for them to continue learning during school closures. And the parental involvement of an or their contributions in case of, one second, it's not moving this side. So we only have to believe. The parents or child's first teacher. I often used to say a parent, mother is the first teacher and teacher is the second one. Hope everyone will also have the same kind of feeling feeling in education. Mother is always a first teacher at home, and the parent is always second mother in the school, in education institution. But many parents lack the resources or knowledge to provide enriching learning experiences at home. So this is one challenge as we see. And this role of technology in learning, especially in blended learning methods. Technology can complement early education by offering interactive learning tools such as educational games, apps that promote cognitive skills, and blended learning, where technology is used alongside traditional methods, can be particularly useful in resource constrained areas. And some games at homes and games in schools, that interactive kind of tools can also help them. For example, apps like ABC Mouse. For the ABC Mouse that we can give the students to play. And academic kids tools, many tools are available. Many schools, they are having their own kind of technological device tools and play-way game methodology, activity-based learning, and that have been shown to improve literacy and numeracy in early years. And the challenges we see using the on-screen, screen time. While technology can be useful tool, it is important to ensure that young children are not exposed to excessive screen time. Screen time is good. We can have the blended kind of thing. That's what I said, sir. Technology can be implemented early education, but it should be traditional and this e-learning method. So both can be inculcated in order to engage the students in early learning. And while technology can be useful, I said it is also an threat for children if it is used in excessive hours of time, which can interfere with the physical play and face-to-face interactions and all. And some the stakeholders, especially we say the four people, these four are the governments, the education institution, parents and communities, and even the private sectors and NGOs. They're all the stakeholders in this regards who can take part, who can play vital role in case of early education. The government must increase funding for early education programs and ensure that policies that prioritize equitable access. The universal preschool should also be the goal. And every district-wise and state-wise can also have the learning special system for, even if you see in India and Tamil Nadu, we have Anganwadi system, the play school system. For 3 years to 5 or up to 3 years, they'll be put in Balwadi. We call it as Balwadi. They provide this kind of ambition. They create and they give for playway teaching method. They also provide with good healthy food, and even Anganwadi system. They're available for 3 to 5 year students. It is all the part of pre-learning systems. And education institution teachers and caregivers need ongoing professional development to use modern evidence-based practices, and early childhood education should be seen as a specialized field that requires the skilled professionals. So, one who is involving in guiding and giving them the learning, childhood learning, must be a skilled person, skilled professional. I think there is a lot lacking in trainers, one who is expertised in this field. So we must first equip and give training to teachers, and the parents should be supported with the resources, create learning environment at home, and community initiatives should promote parent involvement in early learning centers. And the partnership with government, private companies, and NGOs can help scale early learnings initiative. For example, corporation can support digital literacy programs or provide funding for infrastructure in underserved areas. These all can be the part of this initiative. So the call for action is that empowering the next generation, that early learning is not just about improving childhoods, it is about creating a better future for everyone. So this educated children, grown up to become productive, healthy, and engaged citizens. And it is a lifelong success starts early. If you don't invest in children during the critical early years, we risk perpetuating the cycles of poverty, inequality, and social disconnection. So the call to action is we need to collective action. We need collective actions. The government, education, parents, and private sector must come together to ensure that every child, regardless of where they are born, has access to high quality early learning. So, in conclusion, I would like to bring forth this platform. The role of early learning is shaping a brighter, for equitable future. Cannot be overstated. The foundation we laid during these early years determines not only child's academic success, but their overall well-being and ability to contribute meaningfully to society. And our discussion today has emphasized how essential it is for all stakeholders, the government, educators, parents, and communities, to collaborate in ensuring that every child has access to high quality learning opportunities, yearly learning opportunities, and no matter what they are, where they are born, and to whom they are born, and what is their level of income. Irrespective of all this, we must give this high quality yearly learning opportunities to everyone. So before I close, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Universitas Negeri Makassar for organizing this important event, for the opportunity to share my insights. And as the first speaker of the day, I hope to have set tone for the thoughtful discussion that will follow. And I would like to extend my gratitude to my fellow speakers from Greece, America, Indonesia, and Uzbekistan, whose contribution I look forward to hearing, and all of you, our participants, for your time, attention, and commitment to this cause. And last but not least, my special thanks to my loving brother, Professor Andy Asrifan, whose unwavering support has given me the chance to be the part of this impactful webinar. Thank you, everyone. Let's continue working together to empower the next generation. Thank you, one and all. So I'm very ready to interact with you, the participants. You can raise your queries, you can discuss and interact with me in this regard. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Subhatra, for your enlightening presentation. We are now going to open a Q&A session for Dr. Subhatra. If you have any question, please use the raise hand feature so you can talk directly to her, or you can just type your questions in the chat box. While we're waiting for questions, I just want to summarize a few highlights of Dr. Subhatra's presentation just now about the early learning and how it is very important for academic achievement of children, their social and emotional development, as well as the economic benefits and the health outcomes. And I think this one's quite interesting about the challenges in early learning that we face. I think we are in Indonesia, we also face the same challenge as in different the same part in the different part of the world, such as access and inequality, the policy gaps, and parents important for the stakeholders, such as the government, the educational institutions, parents and communities, and even private sectors to be able to work together to work together in facing these challenges in early learning. Yeah, I think that's some of the very important point that Dr. Subhatra just talk about. Now, please, if you have any question, you can type your question in the chat box or use the raise hand feature so that you can talk directly to her, or maybe just this discussion. I think Dr. Subhatra is very open to the discussion as well. Yeah. You can also type your question in Bahasa Indonesia and I'll translate it to English. Or you can talk in Bahasa Indonesia and I'll translate it to English. It's fine as well. So please type your questions in the chat box or use the raise hand feature in Zoom and we'll let you talk. Kalau ada pertanyaan bisa ditulis di chat box atau pakai raise hand. Nanti kita translate Kak. Bagaimana, ada yang mau bertanya? Silakan. Okay, so we have one question for.
There is a question in the chat box from him, Ikmatu Rama.
So early childhood
education is, yeah, please.
Early childhood education is the cause of long-term success. As a student, what we must prepare to be the best mothers or teachers for early childhood in the future, especially in the 21st century. Dr. Subatra, do you have any answer for this one? So yeah, what should we prepare?
We must see a teacher at school. She is a mother. And at home, a mother is also a teacher. So this concept, this understanding will help you with this answer. You must be a teacher at home too, not only mother. And if you are a teacher, you must have the attitude and approach of a mother with your children, with your students. So the mother has a dual role. The mother must play at home a dual role as a teacher, a guide, a moderator, even a psychologist, a coordinator. So many roles you have to. So not only mother should not be a typical mother in order to, in case of parenting. So you must also be a teacher. So you are the first teacher to your mother. You can take in that sense. You are the first teacher to your child. And at school, if you are a teacher, you are not only a teacher, you are a parent too. You are a mother too for your child. So this approach will help you in learning. You are engaged, especially if you are engaged in this early childhood learning and teaching. You must have this approach at home and school. I hope you understood. So this 21st century, we must play a dual role, and especially teaching our students as a motherly feel that is going to contribute high level, because we see the motivation factors into three: that achievement, affiliation, and needs motivation. This affiliation is mother's approach, whereas achievement kind of motivation is a teacher's approach. So both needed at home as well as in school. So this is what, and especially the need is there for a child, for both, for achievement as well as affiliation. Without love and care, nobody will have the intention of the success. So they will be demotivated. So these two approaches are needed, achievement as well as affiliation. Thank you for him, Ikmatu Rama, for your question. Thank you so much. And Devi Azara has raised hand. Shall I reply with her one more?
Yeah, I think we have one more question. Somebody raised their hand just now. Can you please highlight the person who just raised their hand just now? Ya.
Thank you, terima kasih atas kesempatan yang telah diberikan. Adapun pertanyaannya yaitu, what are the faced by education in implementing active learning method at the initial education level?
Yeah, madam.
Especially in the midst of rapid technological development.
It is there. Can you restate the question, moderator, please?
Can you repeat the question? Bisa diulangi pertanyaannya?
You can, moderator, you can repeat the question or you can restate it.
Bisa diulang pertanyaannya?
Bahasa Indonesia, Mek?
Ya, kalau surat bahasa Inggris bisa dalam bahasa Indonesia. You can talk in bahasa and I'll explain it in English.
Ya, baiklah Ibu. Adapun pertanyaan saya itu apa saja tantangan utama yang dihadapi pendidik dalam menerapkan metode pembelajaran aktif di tingkat pendidikan awal, terutama di tengah pesatnya perkembangan teknologi.
Okay, so I think her question is what are the challenges that the educators face in early learning, in early childhood learning? Yeah.
And she answered to it, seems. Her question itself has the answer. The technology, adopting technology is another biggest challenge that every trainer is having. And the gamification way of teaching, the activity based different approaches can also be taught to them. And this is the challenges we have, because we know that we must be a parent, we must be a teacher, we must adopt new technology and so many things we know. But what kind of technology integrations, what kind of activity should be given, and how it is to be given, and effective way of delivering the activity based system, and different types of activities to be given. These are the challenges. Lack in training. In even my presentation, you might have noticed the trained people are very less in case of this early childhood learning and teaching. This is the greatest challenge. One is the trained faculties, lack of trained people, and another thing is the lack of adoption of technology and new applications. So these two are the greatest barriers or challenges they have. Once we get practiced into or trained in adopting this new activity-based system, gamification model, integration of blended gaming. We know the traditional games. We must involve students or children in such a way that we give the blended kind of approach. And at the same time, we should not be overused of technology. But it should be blended kind and the balanced approach of both, engaging them. Because you know how students now and the children now, every children want their own gadget. They want their separate. It is for mother, it is for father, and it's for me. So they want their device. Even at the first years of age, after 6 months, they want their own device. So even we are practicing our children in same way. We are allocating a separate device for our children. So they need special attention. Even when we give the learning childhood exposure, they want blended approach. They simply won't stick on the traditional approach. So the trainer must be trained in such a way that they inculcate the blended kind of approach, adopting new technologies, involving new applications, involving new kit playing system, activity based, the blended kind. So this is the greatest challenges we are facing, and we must focus on this area to train our own self, integrating approach. Thank you. Thank you, Devi.
Thank
Here
you so much,
also in
Dr.
India, we
Subhadra.
have many Devi.
Thank
Devi
you,
is
Devi.
common name in India. Thank you.
Oh, Devi is also a common name in Indonesia as
Many.
well.
Devi Kumari.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Dr. Subhadra.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And okay, everyone, that's the end of our Q&A session for Dr. Subhadra. Now we will formally express our gratitude. We have here a special token of appreciation in the form of a certificate. It's our way of saying thank you for your time, expertise, and dedication in helping to make this webinar a success. To present the certificate, I'd like to invite Dr. Muhammad Akil Musi as the head of the Laboratory in Early Childhood Department. So please, Dr. Akil, if you're here, we'd like you to join us. Okay, I think he's here. We just need to find him. Okay. Yeah, I think he's here.
Okay. Thank you very much, moderator. Now, formally express to all gratitude. We have prepared a special token of appreciation in the form or certificate is saying thank you for your time. Thank you, time, expertise, and dedication in helping to make the webinar a success. To present the certificate, I would like to invite Dr. Usmayadi, the head of the childhood department, to join us. Pimpinan jurusan. Pimpinan jurusan mewakili, thank you. It has been absolute privilege to have such dibaca dulu ini. External individual with us today. Our keynote speaker has brought an unique perspective that enriched to the conversation, and we are truly grateful. Thank you for your insightful presentation. We present the certificate as our appreciation. Moderator, once again, thank you. For your contributor, your has, ya. Saya kira cukup dari saya mewakili pimpinan jurusan. We are grateful. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pak Akil. Once again, we'd like to thank you, Dr. Subatra, for your very, very insightful insights. Hopefully, your work enlightened us, especially in our early childhood learning department. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Happy.
Okay. Okay, now we'll move to our next speaker. Prof. Rania Lampou from the Greek Ministry of Education. Prof. Rania, you may begin.
So warm greetings from Greece. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Most
welcome, ma'am. Nice meeting you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Subatra. Many congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, respected colleagues, it's my great honor and pleasure to welcome you all, me too, to this great global conference on early childhood. I would like to extend my heartiest congratulations to all organizers and universities for setting up this successful event, and I warmly thank, of course, Dr. Andy for the honorable invitation. Today, we will explore the fascinating world of neuroeducation and cognitive neurosciences, what we call brain-based learning or brain-compatible learning, because I would like to focus on this fascinating interaction where science education and human development come together to shape the lives of our youngest and most vulnerable members of society. As already Dr. Subatra said, early childhood is a critical period in human development. So the brain during these formative years is undergoing rapid growth, establishing the neural pathways that will form the foundation for lifelong learning, behavior, and health. So understanding how these early brain changes occur and how we as educators or policymakers can support this process is essential to ensuring every child has the opportunity to reach their full potential. So the field of applied neuroscience, as we're going to see now, provides us with profound insights into how young children learn, develop emotionally, and navigate environments. And by applying these insights, we can better understand how to foster environments that enhance cognitive, emotional, and social growth, ensuring that our interventions are evidence-based, scientific-based, and truly beneficial to each child. So today, through our presentation, we're going to explore how brain development is shaped by experiences, by relationships, and the environment in early childhood, as well as we suggest some brain-based strategies and practical ways that educators and parents can apply in neuroscientific principles to promote learning and emotional well-being. So allow me, if it's possible, to share my presentation. I don't know if it's visible now.
Yes.
Can you see also the change of
Yeah,
slides,
Switi.
Dr. Subhatra?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, thank you. So 90% of a child's brain development happens before the age of 7 years old. And nowadays we talk a lot about 21st century skills. More or less all educators know about critical thinking, creative thinking, problem solving capabilities. Today we're going to see how these 21st century skills are actually related with brain-based learning. The human brain is a miracle. The cells of the human brain are organizing themselves into networks. And this actually means that they organize themselves into some pathways that communicate with each other. They store and process information in order to learn new things. Neuroscience actually is undoubtedly now one of the most active fields of the moment. So each specialist now have tools of incredible precision at their disposal, and they are more willing than ever to try to uncover the most intimate mechanism of our consciousness. So when we talk about neuroscience, the field of neuroscience focuses on the scientific study of the nervous system, analyzing both the structure and its way of functioning. It belongs to the large family of cognitive sciences, which was first introduced in the decade of 50s. It's about the interdisciplinary here field because everything is here: psychology, philosophy, computer science, linguistics, anthropology. The cognitive sciences have experienced a revolution, a scientific revolution. The decade of 90s is called the decade of brain. And what is the goal in neuroscience? Actually to map the brain and spot, locate the biological processes involved in cognition. We use the term cognitive neuroscience to show the ultimate aim of approach, which is actually to understand all these mental operations and try to identify the links between structures and functions. For many years, for a long time, cognitive science were focusing only on the study of cognitive phenomena. But now this has changed. For the last years, it is actually the emotions which have been at the forefront of studies in this field. Thanks to the works of Antonio Damasio and Joseph Ledoux, many others actually who try to popularize the idea that high intellectual functions are closely related with emotions. So there's the science of emotion. The role of emotion learning is important. Everything we learn is related with emotion. Emotion has a very important influence on the cognitive process, including attention, including memory, perception. It has a strong impact on attention, especially because this modulates the selectivity of attention as well as motivating action and behavior. And it helps encoding and retrieve memories. The limbic system is the center of emotions in the brain. There are some regions in the brain which are associated with each one of the 6 main emotions. So what are these regions? Hypothalamus, which actually controls emotional responses. Hippocampus, it's related a lot with memory, helps preserve and retrieve memories. Amygdala, it's very important because it's related with stress, with fear. When you have any stimulus which causes stress, this structure plays an important fear on this kind of responses. And thalamus, a sensory relay station where all sensory information goes before being sent to other areas, and limbic cortex. So what is learning? We talk about learning. It takes place in the brain. Nervous system is where there's the main tool, a learning tool is being developed. Learning is the transformation, we could say, of existing cognitive structures or the creation of new cognitive structures. And thanks to our devices, now imaging devices, it's possible to study the changes in the brain caused by student learning. At the heart of the learning is the neuron. The neuron is the fundamental building block of the brain nervous system. Neurons are specialized cells responsible for transmitting information through electrical and chemical signals. So the way these neurons communicate and form connections with one another is actually what enables us to learn, to store memories and adapt it to new situations. And how a neuron works, we see here the dendrites. It's like the branch of a tree. Dendrites receive signals from other neurons, the cell body where the signals are processed, and axons which transmit signals to other neurons. So where a neuron is activated by stimuli, whether it's something we hear or we think or we see, a neuron sends electrical impulse down its axon to communicate with other neurons to a structure called synapse. Synaptic clone is very important to know because during early childhood, what is happening? Is a process called synaptic pruning. The brain initially produces more connections than it needs, and over time, the human brain prunes away the weaker or unused connections. This refinement process helps the brain become more efficient, ensuring that the most frequently used neural pathways are preserved and strengthened. And this is why repetitive practice and exposure are key to solidify learning. The famous, I'm a researcher in cognitive neuroscience many years in neuroeducation. The quote of neuroscientists is, if you don't use it, you will lose it. This means that the brain deteriorates only if it's not used. This amazing field, what we call neuropedagogy or neuroeducation, it's actually, it was first launched by a report of the Organization for Economic Cooperation, Understanding the Brain, the Birth of a Learning Science. It's, you can see, transdisciplinary. So this is a research approach in education that tries to bring together knowledge in neuroscience and education, tries to highlight certain educational problems, especially when we talk about special education. It helps us better comprehend the nature of the cognitive work carried out by the learner during the performance of certain tasks, to discover the effects of different types of education, to measure the effectiveness of educational intervention, especially in early childhood, and to more quickly identify students with learning difficulties. Of course, why is brain-based learning important? Because it helps improve retention, academic performance, learning in multiple ways, and what we call tell method, where children discuss concepts they are learning with their peers and then share with the class, helps them remember information, develop love for learning. Brain-based learning is retention. So the science of brain development, this has to do with experience. Early experiences are fundamental for lifelong learning and development because they shape neural architecture that impacts future learning and behavior. From birth to age 5, a child's brain undergoes rapid growth and establishing critical connection based on environmental interactions. So this means such as nurturing relationships, stimulating activities can foster healthy development, while adverse experiences, negative experiences, can hinder cognitive and emotional growth. So understanding this science is essential for promoting effective educational strategies and supportive environments that nurture young learners. During critical periods, children's brain are particularly receptive to to learning specific skills like language, and emotional bonding. Patricia research shows that infants are capable of distinguishing sounds from all languages, but this ability actually diminishes by around 6 months as they start to focus on the native language. This means that this emphasizes the importance of early and diverse language exposure. Additionally, secure emotional bonds formed during this time enhance brain development and social skills, laying a strong foundation for future learning. Another big discovery that has to do with the brain is what we're calling neuroplasticity. This means that brain is malleable, particularly in early childhood. So this is why I said before how positive experiences can strengthen neural connections, while negative experiences can hinder development of the neurons. So neuroplasticity is this amazing ability of the human brain to recognize itself, to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life, but it's especially pronounced in early childhood. Studies conducted by a national institution, show that children in enriched environments displayed improved cognitive outcomes. On the other hand, negative experiences like trauma, chronic stress can lead to structural changes and damages in the brain. For example, children with high traumatic experiences often exhibit reduced hippocampal volume, and this impacts, of course, memory and learning. So the role of environment here is important to emphasize the importance of a rich sensory environment. So because all these studies show that children in stimulating environments develop more robust neural pathways. So the environment plays a crucial role in early brain development. A rich sensory environment full of very textual sounds, sights, and opportunities for exploration, something that actually stimulates the brain and helps form a strong neural pathways. So research shows that the children who are actually exposed to diverse stimuli in their surroundings show enhanced cognitive and sensory processing abilities. On the other hand, adverse childhood experiences are these traumatic events, and as I said before, this can lead to alteration in brain architecture, particularly in areas like hippocampus, prefrontal cortex, which are crucial for memory, learning, and emotional regulation. Secure also attachments in early childhood are vital for healthy brain development, emotional regulation. Positive interactions characterized by responsiveness, by affection, consistent care stimulate the release of what we call oxytocin, promoting bonding and emotional security. And this enhances brain areas involved in emotional processing, such as amygdala mentioned before, prefrontal cortex, facilitating better self-regulation and coping strategies. Some practical strategies for early childhood before starting presenting brain-based strategies. Of course, is related with very play activities, incorporate a mix of structured and unstructured play, including art, music, role-playing to stimulate creativity, problem-solving skills. Nature exposure, encourage outdoor activities that allow children to explore nature. Sensory play, materials that engage all senses. Interactive storytelling, use books and storytelling that involve children, actively encourage them to ask questions, to express their thoughts. Cultural experiences introduce children to diverse cultures through food, music, exploration opportunities, design spaces that actually invite exploration, like obstacle courses or discovery zones, allow children to experiment and learn through hands-on experiences. At the same time, how to foster emotional security, discuss some techniques for building stronger, trusting relationships with children, like active listening, constituent routines, use phrases like it sounds like you're feeling. This is a phrase what we use in order to validate emotions. So research shows that children who feel understood are more likely to express their feelings openly. Visual schedules implement visual aids that outline daily activities. And positive reinforcement strategies, for example, when we praise specific behaviors, this is one strategy, or for emotional check-ins, try to use visual emotion charts to help children identify and articulate their feelings. Dedicate to playtime, try to share personal experiences, help them to open up to share their feelings. And how to promote language development, regularly read age-appropriate books to children, how to help them to get engaged in conversations, labeling copy, use everyday opportunities to label items around the home or the classroom, the storytelling, I mentioned before, multilingual exposure, and at the same time, community resources. This has to do with providing information on local support services for families facing challenges, for example, emphasizing the importance of supportive network through education programs which can provide structured learning, socialization opportunities, through parenting classes, mental health services, the support groups, with health clinics, local health clinics that provide services for children. I think it's the most fascinating part. These are the principles of brain-compatible learning. First of all, its brain is unique. This means that we all different and unique, but we all have the same sets of systems, but these systems are integrated differently within its brain, and this makes us all different. So this diversity is the result of genetic heritage, different experiences, different environments. So it must be understood that learners are different, that they need choices, and that they all should be exposed to a wide variety of inputs. Learning changes the human brain. There are two types of changes. When we learn, while we learn, two types of changes happen in the brain. A change in the internal structure of neurons and an increase in the number of synapses, more dendrites between neurons. By changing the stimulus behavior, the brain changes respectively, and the brain is also modified by experience. Multiple, complex, and concrete experiences are important for the growth of dendrites and the healthy functioning of the brain. We are all genetically programmed to learn, to explore, discover, reflect. And learning is developmental because the brain is an organ with extraordinary adaptability and plasticity. Neurons are not fixed and immutable entities. The brain constantly restructures and maintains its plasticity throughout its life. So the brain is pliable. The brain is multifunctional parallel because it processes all information simultaneously and continuously. Thought, emotions, imaginations, dispositions work at the same time and interact with other processes of the brain. So it's multifunctional since it performs multiple functions at the same time. It needs choices. The dynamics of the brain presuppose its capacity for free choice and decision making. The brain is not preformed but structured in order to learn what it needs to learn when it is presented with a possibility of choice. So teachers should allow everyone to update the choice potential. The brain searches for order and organization. That's why we need to use mind maps and what we call heuristic diagrams in our lesson plan, because a brain seeks to classify new information. We try to bring order to chaos, so organization, including selection, ranking, comparison, biological necessity of a human brain. The human brain also is related with practice, because we learn better when we practice, because new fibers, dendrites grow and connect with each other, forming synapses. Practice means correcting mistakes, learning from our own mistakes and trying constantly. Mistakes are a natural and necessary part of the learning process. Dendrites develop for what is being practiced. So in order to learn a new concept or skill, the learner's brain builds a new specific neural network for the learning object in question. Also attention, plays a big role in learning, especially nowadays. The brain stays alert for only about 10 minutes. So in general, the dropout in a class occurs before the quarter of an hour of an activity. The challenge here is how to find ways to maintain our students' attention during a given time. So teachers can capture the attention through a multitude of visual, auditory, kinesthetic inputs, new emotional experiences and alternations. Learning always involves conscious and unconscious processes. Seeks pleasure because the pleasure center of the brain is what we call a reward circuit, tends to desire the repetition of stimuli or experiences that causes pleasure. So every pleasant piece of information can cause the release of dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that causes feelings of euphoria in the brain with the production of endorphins and activates the limbic system that I mentioned before. Limbic system is the center of emotions. So learning becomes more enjoyable and is positively reinforced when inner motivation, interest, and active engagement prevail. The brain, of course, learns best through multisensory processes. When we involve all senses in multiple treatments, so multisensory stimuli promote the development of the entire cortex, not only just one region. And repetition is what I said before. Practice is something that builds a human brain. Remember always that brain is social and means evolves and learns through interaction experiences with others. Learning is influenced by others. We seem to be learning from others, so we need others to grow. Which is related to problem solving because the brain is engaged in finding multiple responses to a problem rather than finding the right answer. And due to this process, which involves reasoning, critical thinking, and other high-level cognitive skills, neural growth takes place. So teachers should create a challenging and relevant learning environment rich in problem-solving activities and situations where students can build their own understanding of content, organize it, and think it with the aid of their own cognitive models. Of course, the brain needs structural breaks. We need to absorb all the information, and the sense of meaning is innate, so we need to give a relevant and meaningful stimuli. Otherwise, the new information will be deleted from memory. The search for meaning is done through the construction of patterns, what we call patternization. Here you can see the learning pyramid. After this shows that after 2 weeks, we tend to retain 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 50% of what we see, 70% of what we see or hear, 70% of what we say, and 90% of what we say and do. So this learning pyramid clearly illustrates that active participation in the learning process results in increased knowledge building and retention. Learning is a holistic process always. That's why we talk about integrated learning. Each hemisphere of the brain processes information according to its specialty. This is what we call lateralization of the brain, and then transmits its decision to the other hemisphere. Emotional learning, I mentioned this before, and also I mentioned the role of enriched environment. So what are the education implications? Of course, if we take into consideration all this functioning of the brain, we can discover the state of our students, their needs, their abilities, their interests. We can better identify their needs, define precise learning objectives for its dynamically adapted teaching. When we provide multisensory representations, we help promote brain growth, connection, we support intellectual curiosity. At the start of the teaching, we need to embrace the power of novelty, and this way we destabilize students to associate new ideas with what the students already know, making connections between current knowledge and the new material. This is very important. Make new connections with the prior knowledge. Present always relevant, meaningful information, involve all students in the learning process, promote active learning, give rise to various learning experiences, respect individuality, learning styles of each student, and try to inspire intrinsic motivation and offer frequent opportunities to all for creativity development, and also create always a pleasant atmosphere, engage the emotion of the students. So provide a rich environments. Here, all these principles that I mentioned before are already integrated in mediated devices that we use in all the multimedia and interactive learning environments contain these principles. We just don't know about this hyperdocument and non-linearity, because the principle of non-linearity, which is the basic principle of multimedia, resembles the structure of the brain, its networks, its intersections. The attitude of a user is close to what of a learner, association of ideas, trial and error paths and detours. So it's like the learning process, sensory, immersion, multimodality, variety, active participation of learning. All these are based on brain-based strategies. We know how the internet shapes our brain, and the internet is, according to all studies, all studies show that they can actually bring many transformations in the human brain, and how video games also can help us with spatial awareness, etc. So all these brain strategies in early childhood, I mentioned before, how to break down content in small chunks, how to incorporate physical activities, kinesthetic activities are important for the human brain, use appropriate timing, create positive, safe environment, use all these techniques that I mentioned before about storytelling, relaxation, active learning activities, play-based learning, hands-on activities, encourage interaction. Don't forget about the language centers of the brain, what happens during this period. And if I'm concluding to show here, during the COVID pandemic, I wrote an article which had a great impact all over the world. It's about how we can teach adopting neuroscientific approach. And actually, it had a great success because During the COVID pandemic, children were suffering from mental health disorders, and also organize an online lesson plan. It's not easy because we need to take into consideration what is happening in the brain during this period. So what I suggested during this period of the COVID pandemic was actually how to create positive emotions. I mentioned before how that emotions are closely related with thoughts, how to make learning pleasant even during the online learning, which is boring by definition, how to help develop social skills even through these collaborative platforms, help students share their experiences about the traumatic, what traumatic experience they have from the COVID crisis, create a safe environment, and adopt appropriate methodology. What is appropriate methodology is what fits best to our students, to their interests, to their rates. And before concluding, an ideal lesson plan would be, first of all, to start by capturing the attention of our students. The best ways to learn is novelty, humor, and surprise. So we start our lesson plan with novelty, humor, and surprise, because the brain is always looking for something new. The system in the lower brain is what is called reticular activation system, filters out stimuli and decides what to pay attention and what to ignore. Remember what I said before, if you don't give relevant and meaningful stimuli, the new information will be deleted from the brain and will never be stored in the long-term memory. The limbic system, the center of emotions, always intervene throughout the entire learning process. The brain explores the subject by a variety of explicit and implicit methods. And the role of mistake and error, I mentioned this, that learn from mistake offers the opportunity to weaken bad connections in favor of more appropriate connections. Remember that many new inputs are kept in the frontal lobe for short-term memory, which stores information for 5 to 26 seconds. So most of the inputs are filtered and discarded if they are not relevant. And this is the place where the information is stored in hippocampus. The more associations are created in the brain, the more likely it is the information will be encoded in long-term memory and therefore will be available for recall. So the long-term effect of learning is the stabilization of memory by the growth of new synaptic contacts in the brain. Have pillars of attention, active engagement, feedback, the automation of knowledge and procedures. Of the memory, some tips. Remember, learners best memorize information presented at the start. The information memorized second is which is presented at the end of the lesson, and learners rarely memorize information presented in the middle. This is what neuroeducation tells us. The role of repetition mentioned before, repetition reinforces a memory. There are several ways to improve memory. We can speak about memory for hours. Repetition has a biological effect, involves solidity of connections, acceleration of information flow, solidity of synaptic patterns, integration of processing, procedural memory. New connections between neural networks can be established or strengthened, or what I said before, can be weakened or disappear. If you don't use it, you will lose it. That was said in the beginning about synaptic pruning. If we don't use the brain will go into deteriorate. During school activities, we'll be always focused on upper regions of the brain, higher order thinking. And the main executive functions here focus on attention, planning, cognitive flexibility, impulse control, emotional regulation. This is some neural myths, left to right brain people, myths about the fact that we use only 10% of the brain, multiple intelligence theory, that girls are working differently. That tells us all these are myths because neuroscience now has evolved and has questioned all these theories. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll try to be brief because I could speak for hours. For any question, I'm here to discuss. I think that the neuroeducation is a very interesting field, and teachers don't know a lot about it. Through my presentation, I'm trying to inspire, motivate them to explore more about all these brain-based strategies and how we can apply them in our teaching in order to make it more effective, more attractive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Rania. There was a very, very rich material about neuroscience, and I think it's very, very beneficial for us because especially for us teacher, because before we start teaching in the classroom, then we need to know how the brain develop as well before we use our strategies with the students. It seems like we have a few questions already. Here we have Tri Suyardi, I think she's ready to ask her question. Please.
Okay, thank you so much for your give me a chance to asking something for you, and that's really insightful presentation from you. I really thinking about this. You said about the brain will continue to look for pleasure, and what about if sadness always happen, and also madness or maybe angry become something that being pleasure because it's often happens, and then if intelligence is inherited, and then what about the trauma? Is that inherited too to our children? If we could not maybe fix the trauma, is that will be give to our child? Thank you.
Yes, you mentioned about the trauma, right? Adverse negative experiences that I mentioned before, but already studies show that they alter actually the brain architecture. Trauma, especially during early childhood, can have a profound and lasting impact on brain development because the brain is highly sensitive to environmental influences in its formative years. All these traumatic experiences that could be abuse, that could be neglect, exposure to violence. All this can disrupt the normal brain functions. So understanding how trauma affects the brain is critical for supporting recovery and fostering resilience in children who have experienced adversity. And especially what happens in the brain during trauma is related with what I said before, the region of the brain which is called amygdala. It is the brain's alarm system. The amygdala detects threats and activates what we call fight, flight, or freeze response. So in children who experience trauma, the amygdala can become overactive, causing heightened emotional responses and hypervigilance. The second region is what we call hypothalamus, which regulates the release of stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline. The prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain which is responsible for executive functions such as reasoning or decision making, impulse control. And what I said before about the region of the memory, hippocampus, which is involved in memory formation, spatial navigation. Hippocampus is also affected by trauma. So we can understand it. And also, this is related with hormones, the role of cortisol. The cortisol is related with chronic stress and developing brain. So during a traumatic event, cortisol levels increases, so there's a continuous release of these hormones that can be toxic to the human brain. Because all these brain architecture changes, the neural pathways are transformating, and there is affects also what I said before about synaptic pruning, the process by which the brain eliminates unused neural connections, and this reduces also neuroplasticity. So the effects of trauma on learning and behavior is difficulty in concentration, memory impairment, emotional dysregulation, hypervigilance. So it's not easy to handle. This means what are the strategies to cope with this? First, to promote resilience, promote stable and supportive relationships, therapeutic interventions, mindfulness, stress reduction, safe and predictable environments. I think these are the most important strategies.
Well, thank you so much, Prof. Rania. And thank you, Tri Suyardi, for asking question. And I'd like to remind everyone that we also have stream on YouTube. So here ada juga ditayangkan di YouTube. Jadi kalau bisa akses di YouTube juga. And we also have a question from people on YouTube. From Sri Rika Amriani. She asked, how can early childhood education curricula be adapted to align with neuroscientific findings? Yeah, so how can the curriculum of early child education can be adapted to align with neuroscientific findings? Prof. Rania, can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you please repeat it?
Oh, okay. So here we have one question from Sirika Amriani on YouTube. She asked, how can early childhood education curricula be adapted to align with neuroscientific findings?
Yeah, this is a wonderful question. Unfortunately, this is not integrated in the curriculum in many countries, but it can be very easily integrated through many ways. I mentioned before some strategies, brain-based strategies. This can be incorporated in the curriculum. If we talk about the case of social emotional learning, nowadays there are many thematic sessions. For example, in Greece, we have integrated social emotional learning as a thematic option in the curriculum. It's not compulsory, but it's integrated thematic option. I mean, even if it's not possible this to be integrated in the official curriculum, you can leverage these brain-based strategies throughout the lesson plan. I showed you before, for example, how an ideal lesson plan could be, how a teacher starts by the novelty, by the humor, but everything that captures the attention and destabilizes the senses. This is how we first start our lesson plan. Try to apply techniques about memory. I said before, what we present at first, it's something that stays in memory. How to retain attention. During our lesson plan, we can apply these brain strategies, although neuroeducation maybe it's not be a part of the official curriculum, but all the strategies that I mentioned before can be applied easily in every subject. Through play-based learning, or attachment and emotional security. So this affection I mentioned before, help them share their experiences, open up themselves. The spaced repetition, the active recall retrieval practices, the chunking information. All these things, all the strategies can be easily applied. You don't need, to have any curriculum which is based on this neuroeducation, as long as your teaching practices, your lesson plan is based on these strategies. So you have in mind neuroplasticity, if you take into account how a brain works, that it needs, for example, visual aids, that it needs mind maps in order to classify the information, that you need to respect the learning styles, individual differences, because each brain learns differently, that you need to make frequent breaks because the human brain cannot absorb an infinite amount of information, how to minimize distraction. And nowadays, students are not able to handle because they are constantly distracted from the smartphones and mobiles, how to engage in curiosity, how to create a safe environment. We can integrate neuroscience this way into the curricula, and this means that we align teaching strategies with how the brain naturally learns and develops. From early childhood through adolescence, applying insights from brain science can improve memory retention, emotional regulation, focus, and overall cognitive development. So by creating brain-friendly classrooms, promoting positive emotional experiences, and supporting individual learning needs, educators can actually harness the power of neuroscience to enhance student outcomes and foster lifelong learning.
Well, thank you, Prof. Rania, for that answer, and I hope it answered Surika's question just now. And it seems like we have one more question from Nur Alim Amri. Please unmute your microphone so we can hear your question. Yeah. Can you unmute your microphone, please?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Rania. Your presentation is truly outstanding. Even though I had to use translation assistance because so fast. Talking about fostering emotional security, you explained about quality time, that we have to scheduling specific time to strengthen closeness. The question is, according when is the best time to make quality time, and is quality time needed every day? Thank you.
First, actually, during early childhood is one of the most significant factors in promoting healthy development in all areas: social, emotional, cognitive, physical. Early childhood, typically from birth to age 5, is a critical period where the brain is most plastic, more responsive, laying the foundation for lifelong learning, for behavior, for well-being. The best thing how to make the most of quality time with young children is it's not just about being physically present. It's about being emotionally and mentally engaged. As you said, it's not one specific time, but during the entire process of learning, of teaching, we should try to make the most of quality time with young children. Be present and engaged, to follow the child's lead, take the lead, for example, in play or conversations. When we follow the child's interest and curiosity, this encourages exploration and learning. And this can involve letting our child choose the activity, whether it's building with blocks or playing make-believe or simply exploring nature. We try to incorporate everyday moments. I mean, quality time doesn't always have to involve structured activities. Everyday routines like mealtime, bath time, or going for a walk can be moments of meaningful connection. During this time, we need to engage in conversation, for example, that would be song, or ask our child about their day, to share their experiences, which is not easy to unlock. Children usually, prefer sharing their experiences with friends rather than with their teachers or with their parents. Another issue, another strategy could be to read together. Reading aloud to your child is one of the most valuable ways to spend quality time, because it promotes language development, it encourages imagination, helps build attention span. So we can choose books that align with our child's interest, to use reading as an opportunity for bonding and learning. Use play to teach or create routines. Children, love routines, because routines provide structure and predictability. So establishing specific times for activities like family meals or bedtime stories or morning play can help ensure that quality time is consistent and becomes a valued part of our children's day. And always show affection and encouragement. Positive reinforcement during quality time boosts child's confidence, whether it's through a verbal praise, that could be a hug, that could be a smile, that could be, we show our appreciation and affection. This reinforces the bond between us and children. So this encourages further exploration and learning. All the studies show that when there is a lack of quality time, always the children have emotional and behavioral issues. They have delayed language and cognitive skills and weaker social skills. This is what research says, and it's evidence-based documents. So quality time is essential for fostering a child's emotional, cognitive, social, physical development, because it builds secure attachments, it promotes language, cognitive growth, enhances social, emotional skills. So by being fully present, engaging in interactive activities, and incorporating learning through play, we can provide the nurturing environment that young children need to thrive. I hope I have answered your question.
Is that clear enough, Mr. Nur Ali?
Thank you, Prof. I got the point about the quality time, that we need to do it every day, because that not about our we need to do it consistently. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prof.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you so much for the question, and thank you, Prof. Rania, for answering the question. Actually, we still have a few more questions directed to Prof. Rania, but unfortunately, we have some time constraints. So, if it's possible for Prof. Rania to maybe answer the question just in the chat box, that's very, very okay.
Yes, definitely.
But now we're going to extend our gratitude for Prof. Rania by giving her the certificate. We have prepared a special token of appreciation in the form of certificates. We'd like to invite Dr. Asisa Amal as the Secretary of Department of Early Childhood. So please, if you're here, we'd like you to join us.
Okay.
Okay, I think
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and special thanks to Dr. Andy for the invitation.
Okay, thank you. It is an honor for us to have esteemed guests like you here. Our keynote speaker has provided a unique perspective that has enriched our discussion. And thank you for very informative presentation. And we present this certificate as token of our appreciation for Ms. Rania.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank
you, Dr. Aziza, for presenting the certificate. And once again, thank you so much, Prof. Rania, for your contribution. Your work has inspired and enlightened us here today. We are truly grateful for your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, now we're going to move to the next presenter. We have Dr. Babur Sobirov from Tashkent State University of Economics, Uzbekistan. Dr. Sobirov, if you're here, the time is yours.
Kelihatan.
Dr. Sobirov, are you here?
Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Miss Rania Lampou. It was so interesting, interesting presentation. Thank you. Okay. Also, I want to give my apologize to the University of University Negeri Makassar to organizing this conference webinar for us because it's so interesting and gets more knowledge about the early childhood education. Thank you. One second. Okay, I think it's visible for everyone. Okay, in today's speech, in this term, I want to talk about the fostering economic growth through early childhood education, laying the foundation for future tourism development. I try to explain why the early childhood is impact on the economy and for future tourism, especially. So. About the first is the introduction part, talk about the why focus on early childhood education. As we know, the tourism in tourism in some developing countries is more essential part of economy to improve their quality, improve their employment rate, and so on for developing their human capital to improve their skills and so on. And the second part, brief overview of how early childhood education shapes long-term cognitive, social, and emotional skills, and also transition into how these skills are foundational for sectors like tourism, not only for tourism, maybe other entrepreneurships like maybe finance, bank, and other sectors as well. So, early childhood education is a foundation for future tourism employee. As you know, the early childhood, while working in tourism or in other kind of economic sectors, everyone needs the experience, need to improve their skills, like maybe language skills or team skills, and also problem-solving skills. While we are introducing the early learning skill, early learning education, we can open new doors for children, for youth, for adults to get some experience in this kind of sectors, and easy for them to find available job for their future life. So the next one is about the early education fosters cultural awareness. While learning these kind of things about the tourism, they can get experience, or they can know about their culture. They know can awareness of their culture, and also they can improve their language skill. While speaking or communicating with the tourists or other kind of sectors, they can improve their language skills and also knowledge about the tourism, and get more experience about their field. And also they can this can impact their creativity while going into new entrepreneurship, like working in hospital sectors or other transportation, or maybe in the service like food and beverage restaurants. They can get their knowledge like managing and giving some creative investments to these kind of fields. And also the next one is tourism requires adaptability, problem solving, and communication skills. As I mentioned before, while giving this kind of options, the early child education can give some ability to adapting the new atmosphere, like while working in some kind of any field like hospitality or restaurant services, they can get easy adapt in their future life, and they somehow may direct them in a right way. And also the next one is the early childhood education sets the stage for these skills. Yes, it's more focusing on their improving their skills as well. So cultural awareness sensitivity. Okay, while for example in our country, in Uzbekistan, most of the university students or the college students are always trying to get some excursion into our cultural destinations, like tourism destinations, like Kyrgyzstan and also some kind of destinations, and they can get some sensitive of their cultural awareness, our cultural awareness. They feel and they can learn more about themselves and try to get some experience, and somehow they can communicate with the tourists, and they try to get some exchange with their experience, and they can learn more about their culture. That's why it's more essential for students and also for education into giving some opportunities to getting some experience, something like that, going to the some making some guide for tourists or something else, getting some experience may get some guide for us to develop their lifestyle. Okay, about these language skills for tourism, as we know, the language skill is more important in tourism sector. While with the multilingual skills, person can get more easy find their job in their tourism, and it's also giving some opportunities to learning their language and improving their skills. Like, for example, in my country, many students are always making some difficulties for their speaking skills, but while they are developing their experience in tourism sector, like maybe service like restaurants or guiding the tourists, they can improve their communication skills, and also while they can improve their language skills to communicate with the tourists. There is a given some trends about the high language proficiency by regions and low language proficiency by regions, and there is some giving some percentages in which countries and which regions are getting in a high language proficiency and which is one's a low language, and it was so essential in this kind of part of this tourism skill. And also the creativity and problem solving in tourism is for students or for early childhood education. They can develop their creativity creativity, because it's more essential for the learning earlier, for this kind of experience, this kind of field. They can get more easy to adapt, and they can try to open new entrepreneurship for their field. Like one students working in one restaurant for a long time, maybe 3 or 4 years, they know more about the restaurant service. Then they can open new entrepreneurship like restaurant, and they can run their restaurant entrepreneurship. It's easily. So that's why it's more important to give some opportunities for youngsters, to give some work and give some responsibilities to work in this kind of field. Not but limited, not much, because it's more related to tourism. It's more experienced. While it's experienced, they can adapt, can communicate with the tourists or some customers, and they can improve their future development of not only for their country's economic development, but also their self development as well is more important. Okay, tourism thrives on new ideas. Children educated in problem solving are more likely to create new tourism products and services. There is a more important thing that while the youngsters are learning any new learning education in early age, they can know more about the problems. While they are facing many problems or facing some difficulties in tourism services, they try to get some creativity, using their creativity, making some investments in new sources, and try to adapt and try to develop these kind of things. And easy for them to create and innovate new fields, new things for them, because it's always I think the more youngs are eager to learn, eager to create new things, to make them life easier and more creative and more attract more tourists for their services. So that's why it's more important to create their and problem-solving skills in their tourism field. Okay, the tourism's role in economic development, the economic impact of tourism. Tourism contribution to global GDP and employment rate. As we know, while we are improving the tourism in our country, in our other countries as well, we can create new opportunities for developing our employment rate. We can open new working staffs for our people to improve their tourism. And also tourism is a drive for economic growth, particularly in the emerging market. We know while we are introducing our tourism, we can improve other facilities, like not only for the tourism destinations or service, but also we can create our industry, like our products and our infrastructure and so on. That's why in this kind of field, we need more staff, we need more employee to develop our way of improving our tourism or our economy. That's why while giving them some new experience for our youth or new workers, it's more essential to adapt a new field or new experience to develop our economy. Yes. Long-term benefits of investing in a tourism-oriented education system. For example, in our country, there is a more opened new educational centers or educational college for people to get some knowledge about the tourism. If I'm not mistaken, there is a 13 education college in our country, some regions, and we have one university, Silk International University of Tourism and Cultural Heritage. It's also focused on one field like tourism, the improvement in their cultural heritage, museums, and so on. Developing all things for developing the tourism sectors for long term and make it sustainable. Okay, there is some global tourism impact. It's shown about some trends about it. As you know, this COVID 2019. It makes some impact on the job support or some tourism receipts or tourism arrivals. It's a little bit impact on this kind of things, but is that nowadays it's getting improved day by day because the most of people are try to make some travel relaxations. That's why it's more important to give some high quality of service. That's why we need this kind of education, experience, and so on. So developing future innovators in tourism. While, as I mentioned before, the new generation while working the tourism field, they can get more experience. And while they are getting the older or making the high experience, they can easy to adapt new or open new entrepreneurship like restaurants, hotels, and so on. And it's more easy for them to develop their entrepreneurship, their business, because they know how to make some problem solvings or something like that. Communication skills and so on. That's why it's more essential for them. The next one is that tourism thrives on new ideas. Travel education, educated problem solving, are more likely to create new tourism programs. They can improve their ideas easily. They can create higher and they can know how to eat because they are more eager to learn and eager to get their work easier and while making some creativity and more attract their new customers and new tourists for the field. And economic impact, there's some small trends about this issue. As I mentioned, it's more visibility it's given in this field. Okay, policy to support early childhood education for tourism. The government need to invest in quality early childhood education. As I mentioned, in our countries, there is some investment to our education for early childhood education, like giving some opportunities for the college or universities to give some opportunities to work in this kind of field. For example, in end of August, we in our country organize the Shark Tanroller event. In this kind of event, we hired some voluntary works from college and from some university for getting some experience for this kind of field, communicating with the tourists, guiding them, and giving some opportunities to traveling around our Uzbekistan. And this one is somehow help for them to improve their skills and experience. And this is how somehow our policy, our law, some support for our tourism sector education for giving some opportunities for our new generation. Okay, policies supporting multilingualism, cultural education, and sustainability should be prioritized. So while giving these kind of opportunities, for example, and we have many centers in Uzbekistan, especially in Samarkand and Tashkent and other regions in our country, we were opening new English centers. So as many people are eager to learn English to develop their language skills. And so that they always travel our tourism destinations and try to communicate with the tourists to improve their knowledge, to improve their language skill, to adapt and to get their skills, communication skills. That's why somehow the impact of their future lifestyle, future law, to improve their experience as a worker. Maybe they can work as a tourism sphere or not only for the tourism, but also their impact on their economy in other field as well. So collaborating between tourism, education, and government sector is more essential thing to improve their economy. And while the early childhood education is more important thing to while improving the education and while supporting the government sector. So to conclude this kind of ideas, we can say investing in early childhood education leads to economic growth by preparing children for their future career in tourism. To conclude that, while we are giving some opportunities for children for preparing their future career, for them, it's easy to find their way in their lifetime. While getting older, they can easy to find their way of life. how to because they can their own main aim, main mission, main vision to life for their life to their future career. That's why it's more investing in their early childhood education may lead for not only for the for children to making some future career, but also this help economic growth for the country. Second is early childhood education build essential skills like cultural awareness, creativity, and problem solving that are critical to tourism. Like while we early childhood education giving them for people to learn about their cultural awareness, about our many countries' culture awareness of this environment, to save the environment, to attract the tourists. They try to save the environment, try to improve the infrastructure, and try to awareness of their culture, like doing some or giving some guides for this kind of thing. And also the collaboration among governments, business, and education sectors is essential for improving economy in while educating the new child education. I think this is the end of the presentation. You are feel free to giving your questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sobirov. Now we're waiting for questions for Dr. Sobirov. While we're waiting for the question, I'd like to conclude highlight some of the important information that we got from Dr. Sobirov. I think it's a very unique point of view in terms of how you use early childhood education as a foundation for future tourism. I think that's a very, very unique point of view.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we are still waiting for questions. Please type in the chat box or use the raise hand feature if you want to ask question. Kalau ada pertanyaan, silakan ditulis di chat box atau raise hand. Yeah, so while we're waiting, I want to highlight that you, as Dr. Sobirov said before, the early childhood education fosters cultural awareness, language skills, and creativity. I think it's very important for us in Indonesia too, because we have we have a quite significant tourism sector as well, and I think this is a very, very important elements that we need to work on, especially in our early childhood education sector. Okay, we're still waiting for questions. You can use the raise hand feature or type your questions. You can also use bahasa Indonesia, bisa pakai bahasa Indonesia, and I'll translate. Any question?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a question from Nida Eka. The question is, discussing children's tourism, they need to be prepared to communicate. However, aside from communication, it is also important to help children openly accept new cultures that come in. So her question is, how can we prepare children to embrace new cultures, especially those that contradict the values held by their local environment? And additionally, how can we build their understanding of the importance of tourism as a foundation for the local economy? Dr. Sobirov, if you have any answer.
Okay, thank you for your question. It's very interesting for me as well. For coming to the main problem, as you mentioned, while is the new tourists coming our country, then they can try to give some culture, and the early child they try to adopt this kind of culture and make it some impression. But I think the main point is giving their knowledge, the right knowledge, and they're giving them a right guide and try to give some cultural awareness in our country, like maybe Uzbekistan, Indonesia. Somehow they try to giving some opportunities for the child to learn in their field. while they're learning, they feel more deeply and they try to get some opportunities for the cultural awareness in their skills. They try to learn more and more, and this somehow they help our children to not get some culture, to embrace a new culture, and so on. And they come into the second question. We can get some opportunities for opening new entrepreneurship. Like as I said before, the new early childhood, getting some experience from the working in some sectors like, for example, a restaurant or hotel. The government should give some more opportunities for a new generation, opening new entrepreneurship. Then they can adopt and they can improve their economy, and then they can improve their entrepreneurship in the restaurant or other fields. Easy, because it's sometimes the main problem is making some difficulties, some limitation, or maybe some policy. They make some makes the new generation to make it more difficult to run their business. That's why the main point is giving some more opportunities from government to new generation to open new entrepreneurship is the main solution of the giving some opportunities to grow the economy growth.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sobirov. If you have any, I hope that will answer your question. Eka Restuti. Now, if you have more question, you can use the raise hand feature or type your question in the chat box. Okay, if there's no more question, I think we'll move to the next part, which will give the certificate to Dr. Sobirov. We'd like to invite Dr. Akil Musi to present the certificate.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're waiting for Dr. Akil as the head of the laboratory of early childhood department to present the certificate. If Dr. Akil is not here, we welcome Dr. Aziza Amal to present the certificate. She is the secretary of the early childhood education department. Okay, Dr. Aziza Amal, if you're here. Once again, we would like to say thank you to Mr. Dr. Sobirov for his presentation today. Okay. Oh, I think she has some trouble logging in, so please wait a second.
Okay.
I think she's here. She's here. Okay, yeah, I'd like to thank Dr. Sobirov once again for this is actually a very interesting topic on early childhood education, because it's very rare to see such information and material on tourism related to early childhood education.
Thank you for all for your time. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tourism is a big part in Indonesia too, so it's I think it's very important, and would like to, I hope in the future we can develop more on this topic. Would you like to share a bit about tourism in your home country related to early childhood education?
Yes, there is some opportunities in our schools as well. They also try to get some in their after the school, maybe after their lessons, they try to give some opportunities to getting some excursion in the our cultural destinations like to Kyrgyzstan and other destinations to make some cultural awareness in our children. I think it's more essential for them to improving their cultural awareness, loving their country, and so on. And also there is some our college to give some opportunities for our students to improve their experience in guiding or their language skills and as well the other in working in this sphere as well. Yes, this main important thing to not only for improving the their experience or their knowledge, but also this also impact on tourism and impact on the economic development in the countries as well. Thank you for your attention for this presentation.
Thank you so much for the information. I think we need to have more important development, such as that you do in your home country as well, like excursion for early childhood learning. I think that's one of the important ways to introduce the children to our culture. So in the future, they can use that later to promote our home countries to this. That's a very good point. Is there any challenges though that you have while developing tourism and in relation to early childhood education?
Some challenges in developing Uzbekistan or?
In your experience that you have experienced.
From experience, there is some problem in the language skill. Maybe sometimes our hometowns there is many English centers and other centers for language, but there is some always most of the students, most of the child always make some difficulties for speaking. They're expressing their ideas or they're giving some ideas or giving their knowledge. They always make some difficulties or guiding the tourists always make some difficulties for their speaking skills. And also I think the main challenge for the while early childhood education is more essential to communicating with the customers and others. That's why in our country there's a little bit this kind of challenge is maybe the problem for developing the children their future career. But maybe sometimes they can develop their language skills later. But the main point is there is some difficulties in learning or developing their speaking skills in my country. That's why there's a little problem, this kind of thing. And also there's some limitation or some limitation from some our society, because there is a little bit while not having enough experience, the people or some students try to open new entrepreneurship, but there are some get some difficulties to running their business because they only get some little experience and not get more experience and more enough experienced skilled persons or staff, and they get some challenges for developing their business. But it's not only for the getting their business down, but it also affects our Uzbekistan economy, Uzbekistan tourism image, while giving right economic service from our new entrepreneurship, like restaurants, maybe some problems. Yeah.
Well, I think we also have the same challenge here in Indonesia, especially how we communicate. We try to introduce a foreign language like English and in early childhood, but yeah, it's not as we still have a long way for the students to be able to communicate, and we hope that later in the future, when they're older, they can use the language to promote the tourism as well. And can you explain more about the economics part of it? Because you were talking about the economics later. Will we introduce the economics part to the children in their early age, or is it in the later stage?
Well, coming to the economic, there is some. While I get some some challenges about running their marketing. The main problem is while they are doing this, because in our very developing countries, there is some problem with using their marketing, how to making some advertisements or working with the customers and loyalty some systems. They making some some difficulties to communicate with their service or their customers, loyal customers, because we know that tourists always try to travel around the world. Maybe one year, about 3 times or 4 times, the tourists try to travel anywhere, like maybe some for their relaxation. That's why we in our main problem in our country, the economy, they not have some system to making their tourists loyal, because it is making some system to giving some marketing strategies to giving for tourists and giving some bonuses, like something like kind of more creative services for tourists, to giving and making them loyal and try to word of mouth to others, their colleagues maybe or relatives. There is some problems, this kind of things in our system, but we are working on this field, because I have some friends, I have some friends who works this kind of services. They were always talking to solve this kind of problem, making some system to making these customers loyal and try to advertise their countries and try to put our place in marketing to making our main targets in our customer. Yes, the main problem is something like say making not enough marketing strategies, this kind of things.
Well, that's such a good strategy. I think we have Dr. Aziza Amal now to present the certificate. So please, Dr. please join us.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. We are honored to host guests like you. Our keynote speaker has offered valuable insight that have greatly enhanced our discussion, and we are sincerely appreciated. Thank you for your informative presentation, and we present this certificate as token of our gratitude. Thank you very much for Mr. Sobirov.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aziza. Once again, we extend our gratitude for Dr. Sobirov for your very, very unique and very rich information on early for early childhood education. Thank you so much.
Thank you for it.
Okay, well, now we're going to move to our next and final speaker. We have Dr. Samsuardi from Early Childhood Department, Universitas Negeri Makassar. He's one of our lecturers in our Early Childhood Education Department. Now he'll provide a valuable insights on transformation of digital literacy in Indonesia. Dr. Samsuardi, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Delvina. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks for the opportunity to present the topic, the transformation the digital literacy and early childhood in Indonesia. Allow me to present this topic in Indonesia. Jadi coba menerawang perjalanan bagaimana literasi yang menjadi salah satu bagian jendela dunia yang menjadikan kita perlu untuk menyesuaikan dengan pendidikan anak usia dini. Next. Jadi literasi menjadi penting karena berbicara tentang literasi maka kita berbicara tentang pemanfaatan teknologi digital secara pemanfaatannya yang lebih bijak dan bertanggung jawab, yang tentu saja tidak hanya berorientasi pada bagaimana anak menggunakan teknologi tersebut, tetapi bagaimana peran dari masing-masing lingkungan, baik lingkungan internal, lingkungan keluarga, lingkungan sosial, masyarakat, maupun lingkungan sekolah itu memberikan kontribusi terkait dengan bagaimana menjadikan anak menjadi bijak dan bertanggung jawab ketika memanfaatkan literasi digital. Karena kita pahami bersama bahwa ketika berbicara tentang literasi, maka kita berbicara tentang jendela dunia. Bahwa di mana kita bisa melihat segala macam peristiwa, melihat segala macam kejadian, bahkan kita mampu mengakses berbagai ilmu pengetahuan yang bisa menjadikan kita paham yang dengan durasi waktu dan tempat yang tidak terbatas lagi. Oleh karenanya, memperkenalkan teknologi, memperkenalkan literasi sejak dini ini menjadi salah satu hal yang mesti memberikan dukungan, memberikan kontribusi terhadap perkembangan kognitif, sosial, dan kreativitas. Justru tidak sebaliknya. Justru bagaimana memanfaatkan literasi digital tidak dalam konteks justru menurunkan perkembangan kognitif, melakukan penurunan terkait dengan interaksi sosial maupun melakukan penurunan terhadap kreativitas dari anak-anak kita untuk menempuh atau untuk menghadapi tantangan di masa yang akan datang. Nah, kalau kita berbicara tentang literasi, maka kita berbicara tentang sejarah bahwa Indonesia bukan sebagai negara maju, tetapi negara yang berkembang dengan konteks pemanfaatan literasi sebagai konsumen. Jadi bahkan di dalam perjalanan untuk literasi digital di Indonesia itu baru dimulai di tahun 90-an, ketika 90 mulai masuk yang teknologi internet. Itu pun baru merambah ke semua, hanya dari beberapa lembaga, hanya dari beberapa instansi yang menerapkan teknologi tersebut. Nanti di 96 terbentuklah yang namanya Asosiasi Penyelenggara Jasa Internet Indonesia sebagai layanan penyedia, pengelola layanan internet yang kemudian memberikan semacam edukasi, memberikan semacam pemanfaatan dari penggunaan internet tersebut. Sementara untuk di praktik pendidikan anak usia dini sendiri belum sama sekali terlayani dengan sempurna. Nah, sesuai dengan perkembangan yang ada di tahun 2000-an barulah internet masuk di sekolah-sekolah. Tapi itu pun masih dalam konteks pemanfaatan, bukan di dalam proses pembelajaran. Masih dalam proses pemanfaatan pendukung data di dalam sebuah lembaga pendidikan yang namanya Satuan Pendidikan Sekolah. Nah, apa yang menjadi titik dasar dari perjalanan sebuah perkembangan teknologi ini adalah ini memberikan gambaran bahwa untuk proses yang terjadi di dalam transformasi penggunaan teknologi itu tidak serta-merta melibatkan anak didik, tidak serta-merta melibatkan murid di dalam pemanfaatannya, tapi lebih pada bagaimana mendukung manajemen kinerja dari setiap sekolah-sekolah. Lanjut saya kira. Nah, barulah pada perkembangan kurikulum yang kemudian berorientasi pada pemanfaatan teknologi yang seiring dengan kompetensi yang harus dimunculkan di dalam tenaga pendidik, yaitu penguasaan teknologi yang lahir pada tahun 2012, kemudian adanya gerakan literasi nasional yang tidak lepas dari bagaimana memanfaatkan teknologi dalam pengembangan literasi, dan itu tercermin di perubahan kurikulum yang ada di 2013 itu, yang kemudian memberikan andil bahwa di dalam proses pembelajaran sudah mesti memanfaatkan teknologi, bagaimana guru bisa kreatif di dalam memanfaatkan media-media yang berbasis dengan teknologi. Kemudian sampai pada munculnya berbagai aplikasi edukasi, games edukasi yang dapat dinikmati oleh anak usia dini. Jadi di sini menjadi 2010 menjadi pintu dari berbagai pemanfaatan aplikasi-aplikasi edukasi yang kemudian berorientasi pada pendidikan anak usia dini, di mana dengan adanya semacam akses yang tidak lagi mahal, dalam konteks bahwa di tahun 2000 ke bawah itu akses untuk informasi itu luar biasa, lumayan memiliki harga yang cukup tinggi, sementara di 2010 sampai 2024 kita sudah mampu menikmati berbagai layanan yang kemudian dengan harga yang terjangkau dengan kapasitas yang lebih tinggi, lebih di atas dari kebutuhan kita. Kemudian yang menjadi poin penting dalam perubahan akses yang terjadi di dalam memanfaatkan literasi digital, kita bisa rasakan dengan adanya perubahan di kurikulum yang ada, di mana dengan adanya kurikulum berbasis teknologi yang diimplementasikan pada kurikulum nasional, di mana pemerintah memperkenalkan kurikulum merdeka yang notabene berorientasi pada pemanfaatan teknologi informasi. Nah, disinilah yang transformasi digital dapat dirasakan, walaupun pada dasarnya masih ada kendala, masih ada semacam perbedaan dari serapan pemanfaatan teknologi antar wilayah. Karena dalam konsep wilayahan, maka kita bisa melihat bahwa untuk kemajuan teknologi masih menempati posisi yang luar biasa besar pertumbuhan digitalnya di daerah perkotaan dibandingkan di daerah pedesaan. Ini yang kemudian memberikan semacam tantangan bagi kita dalam mengimplementasikan teknologi digital berbasis literasi tersebut. Selanjutnya, apa yang menjadi poin penting yang saya sampaikan sekarang, bahwa ternyata berbicara tentang literasi, maka kita berbicara tentang bagaimana sikap kita dalam menghadapi, bagaimana memberikan semacam kesiapan kepada setiap unsur yang notabene adalah sebagai pelaku atau sebagai pengguna dari literasi tersebut. Nah, ini adalah sebuah data yang memberikan fakta bahwa ternyata dari berbagai dampak yang ada dalam penggunaan literasi digital, dalam pemanfaatan teknologi di kalangan anak usia dini kita, maka untuk resiko kecanduannya itu ada di angka paling tinggi. Angka di 35% itu menunjukkan bahwa ini memiliki resiko anak dapat menjadi kecanduan teknologi secara berlebihan. Dan ini sudah bisa kita lihat di mana penyebab dari adanya unsur kecanduan teknologi itu karena juga dipengaruhi oleh berbagai hal, khususnya adanya pengenalan gadget di awal pertumbuhan di masa pendidikan keluarga yang kemudian menjadikan itu pembiasaan yang membuat anak menjadi ketagihan dalam melakukan atau memanfaatkan literasi tersebut. Walaupun pada dasarnya bagaimana mengurangi hal tersebut itu menjadi hal yang harus kita pikirkan bersama, khususnya melakukan kerjasama dengan orang tua. Yang kedua adalah terkait dengan paparan konten yang tidak sesuai. Ada 30% yang berorientasi pada konten yang tidak sesuai. Jadi kita belum memiliki semacam penyaring yang bisa memberikan semacam pemilahan mana konten-konten yang betul-betul murni bersifat edukatif, murni dalam mendukung pengetahuan anak, dan masih saja ada konten-konten yang justru memberikan pengetahuan negatif yang berdampak pada pengetahuan yang negatif pada anak. Kemudian pengurangan aktivitas fisik itu juga memberikan dampak yang sangat signifikan, di mana anak bisa berjam-jam, bisa tinggal melakukan menikmati sebuah permainan tanpa bergerak aktif, tanpa bergerak menggunakan motorik kasar yang kemudian membuat mereka pasif di dalam melakukan aktivitas fisik. Kemudian adanya penurunan keterampilan sosial, bahkan di dalam sebuah aktivitas permainan pun kadang memberikan atau kadang anak mengeluarkan semacam pernyataan-pernyataan yang tidak semestinya ketika misalnya akan diam di dalam menikmati, bereufori sendiri menikmati permainan yang dilakoni. Kemudian terkait yang terakhir adalah tentang kesehatan. Jadi walaupun ini memiliki proses atau memiliki dampak yang paling kecil, tetapi ini menjadi salah satu hal yang menjadi perhatian bersama, di mana kita harus senantiasa meminimalisir resiko adanya dampak-dampak khususnya bagi kesehatan anak didik kita dalam memanfaatkan teknologi. Nah, bagaimana kita dalam meminimalisir mengurangi dampak tersebut, tentu saja itu berorientasi pada pengawasan dan keterlibatan orang tua. Ingat, pendidik di tingkat pendidikan anak usia dini menjadi pintu di dalam membesarkan atau di pintu dalam menstimulasi anak yang mengalami masalah dalam pendidikan keluarga, yang mengalami misalnya kecenderungan di dalam pendidikan keluarga yang tidak atau tumbuh dengan kebiasaan yang tidak sesuai, itu harus diperbaiki oleh pendidik yang ada di pendidikan anak usia dini. Sehingga ini menjadi tanggung jawab, dan untuk melakukan perubahan dari segi konsep pendidikan yang diharapkan, maka tentu saja harus ada ketersinambungan antara pelibatan orang tua di dalam melakukan pengawasan, kontrol terhadap akses dan waktu penggunaan, kemudian perlindungan dari konten yang tidak sesuai, kemudian bagaimana memberikan atau menyediakan kebiasaan digital literasi sejak dini dengan memberikan konten-konten yang bisa berdampak pada peningkatan stimulan kognitif dan bagaimana meningkatkan daya kreativitas di dalam mendapatkan informasi yang beraneka ragam. Nah, yang terpenting adalah menghasilkan atau menyediakan semacam interaksi positif di dalam penggunaan teknologi-teknologi literasi digital. Saya kira itu yang menjadi dasar dari apa yang saya sampaikan pada sore hari ini, dan saya kembalikan ke moderator Delphi Terima kasih.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Samswardi, for your very insightful information on the impact or the story of technology, early digital literacy in Indonesia. Well, we are open for for questions now. We have okay, Nurulia, raise her hand. Can you please unmute your microphone? Yeah.
Iya, Ibu, terima kasih atas kesempatan yang diberikan kepada saya. Adapun pertanyaan saya itu kan sekarang itu anak tumbuh di era di mana teknologi menjadi bagian integral dari kehidupan sehari-hari. Anak-anak dapat menjadi terlalu tergantung pada teknologi, apalagi gadget atau HP. Jadi, bagaimana meminimalisir kecanduan gadget tersebut pada anak dia? Gitu. Terima kasih.
Oke, langsung dijawab, Dok. Oke.
Ya, silakan.
Bagaimana meminimalisir? Meminimalisir itu pola atau budaya penggunaan gadget untuk anak usia dini itu tergantung dari pembiasaan, tergantung dari bagaimana aturan yang dibuat oleh orang tua. Ini menjadi salah satu dasar yang harus dimiliki, pengetahuan yang harus dimiliki oleh orang tua terkait dengan pemanfaatan gadget. Berbagai praktik pemanfaatan gadget yang berorientasi pada kebiasaan positif itu juga banyak yang dijumpai di masyarakat kita, di masyarakat Indonesia. Tapi juga secara perilaku negatif banyak juga. Kenapa? Karena mungkin ada beberapa perilaku yang menjadikan gadget sebagai pengasuh kedua. Nah, ketika misalnya orang tua sibuk dan menjadikan gadget sebagai pengasuh, itu juga bisa memberikan pola negatif dalam berperilaku. Tetapi ketika misalnya gadget, pemanfaatan teknologi yang kemudian bisa menjadi sebuah reward untuk sebuah keberhasilan, itu juga bisa bermanfaat terhadap sesuatu yang berkontribusi terhadap kognitif. Misalnya ketika anak melakukan perbuatan baik, diberikan bonus bermain gadget untuk sesi waktu tertentu, atau misalnya menjadi punishment untuk anak. Tetapi kalau ini loss control dalam memberikan pemanfaatan gadget itu, ketika anak menangis larinya ke gadget, ketika anak mengalami ketika orang tua tidak mau diganggu larinya ke gadget, maka itu akan memberikan kebiasaan negatif untuk anak kita dan akan berdampak pada kebiasaan bermain gadget yang dimaksudkan tadi. Saya kira seperti itu. Saya kembalikan ke Delvina. Terima kasih.
Well, thank you, Dr. Samswardi. So I'd like to reiterate for our English-speaking audience that one of the way to minimize the negative impact of the use of technology is by giving reward to children. So parents need to give reward to children if they are following the rules in the use of technology. Okay, next we have Busra. Can you please unmute your microphone?
Oke, terima kasih atas kesempatannya. Assalamualaikum, Pak Dr. Samswardi ya.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sekalian sapa-sapaan, saya juga dari alumni UNM dan kita satu rumpun. Kayaknya banyak orang. Oke, berbicara tentang gadget dan peran orang tua ini cukup menarik dan ini case. Karena ini case dan mau disandingkan dengan kondisi yang beragam, ini akan berbeda juga pola penanganan. Benar tadi yang dikatakan Pak Dokter bahwa gadget itu sudah menjadi pola ibu kedua ya, atau pola asuh yang diberlakukan, dan ini memang tidak bisa dihindari. karena inilah paling efektif berbicara kondisi hari ini. Nah, karena ini adalah case dan saya melihatnya karena saya juga berperan di kegiatan-kegiatan PAUD. Nah, saya kalau mau dibawa ini dan misalnya untuk memberikan salah satu pencerahan kepada orang tua itu melalui parenting. Namun case barunya adalah menghadirkan orang tua untuk sesi parenting itu tidak mudah. Ya kan? Nah, kalau begitu saya hanya sharing saja ya Pak. Kalau misalnya begini, karena case-nya menarik dan case-nya beragam dengan kondisi yang tertentu dan salah satu mungkin solusi tadi adalah parenting, tapi parenting juga adalah sebuah case. Nah, ketika misalnya kita jadikan ini sebuah problem dan dibawa problem ini untuk di kondisi sekolah, maksud saya adalah pendidiknya untuk memberikan solusi dengan membawa gadget itu sebagai solusi sebenarnya dalam kondisi pembelajaran, kira-kira kita seperti apa melakukan ini Pak? Karena saya dengar misalnya itu justru kita jadikan nih gadget sebagai apa gitu supaya menjadi sebenarnya solusi karena tadi kasusnya adalah sulit dan menjadikan ibu kedua menghadirkan parenting orang tua untuk memberikan pencerahan juga sulit. Nah, bolehkah misalnya justru gadget ini jadikan sebuah solusi, maksudnya gurunya yang menggunakan sehingga menjadi sebuah solusi. Kalaupun bisa, mungkin kita bisa sharing trik supaya kita bagaimana mengembangkan PAUD-nya kita ini. Terima kasih Pak Dokter.
Terima kasih Bu Busra, sebuah praktik ya yang pengamatan langsung yang biasa kita memang dapatkan di lapangan. Nah, teknologi tidak bisa kita bendung, artinya tinggal bagaimana memerankan posisi memanfaatkan secara positif karena setiap perkembangan itu ada plus dan minusnya. Nah, ketika misalnya pola penggunaan teknologi khususnya karena seperti yang saya sampaikan di awal ini menjadi jendela. Jadi sayang juga kalau kita dalam hal pendidik itu anti terhadap pemanfaatan teknologi tersebut. Nah, yang bagaimana solusi? Bagaimana cara kita memanfaatkan? Jadi tergantung dari bagaimana kita mampu menghadirkan. Kalau misalnya merubah pola tadi, bagaimana merubah pola yang dibawa dari rumah, itu kita bisa sembuhkan mungkin sesuatu yang tidak mungkin hari ini kita berikan intervensi langsung berubah. Nah, karena harus pelibatan seperti yang tadi yang dikatakan, pelibatan bukan hanya konteks di sekolah yang harus kita berikan stimulan dalam memberikan tanggung jawab dan pemanfaatan secara bijak, tapi bagaimana melibatkan orang tua, tapi dengan syarat bahwa harus ada kesamaan pemahaman antara orang tua dan guru. Tantangannya adalah seperti yang disampaikan, orang tua kadang tidak memiliki tidak mampu untuk atau memiliki kepedulian untuk hadir menjadi bagian dari menyelesaikan tersebut. Nah, justru ada beberapa yang saya lihat bahwa ketika misalnya di sekolah mampu memberikan semacam seperti yang saya sampaikan tadi, punish dan reward and punishment untuk pemanfaatan teknologi itu bisa saja dijadikan sebagai alat untuk memberikan penghargaan. Misalnya ketika anaknya memberikan mampu melakukan atau taat dalam beberapa perilaku, maka itu bisa diberikan reward untuk pemanfaatan teknologi yang dia sukai. Nah, kalau misalnya ini bisa diterapkan, misalnya karena yang lebih banyak loss untuk pemanfaatan teknologi gadget ini ada di lingkungan keluarga, bukan di lingkungan sekolah. Jadi saya kira tidak ada pelanggaran yang bisa dilakukan ketika berbicara tentang pemanfaatan teknologi di lingkungan sekolah, karena itu kita orientasikan pada edukasi saja. Yang susah adalah ketika misalnya kita harus betul-betul memberikan semacam literasi kepada orang tua bagaimana pemanfaatannya. Itu yang menjadi tantangan yang harus kita pikirkan secara bersama-sama. Saya kira seperti itu.
Well, thank you for the answer. I hope it answered your question. So I'd like to reiterate that to benefit from the technological involvement in early childhood education, we need the involvement from both school and parents, and both school and parents should be in the same page. They should have the same perception. So yeah, it's very important for parents to be involved, and the use of reward and punishment is very important as well to benefit from the use of technology in early childhood education. I hope it answered your question. Unfortunately, that was our last question for today. I'm so sorry for other participants who have raised their hands to ask questions, but because of the time constraint, I think we'll stop the last question today. Thank you so much, Dr. Samshuari, for your very insightful presentation. It's very important for us as well. We'd like to express our gratitude for your involvement in this webinar. We'd like to invite Dr. Rusmayadi to give the certificate. Okay, Dr. Rusmayadi, please. Can you please unmute, Pak? We can hear your voice. Suaranya tidak kedengaran. We still cannot hear your voice. Suaranya masih belum kedengaran, Pak. Oh, baik.
Baik, sudah terdengar?
Iya, sudah terdengar, Pak.
Baik. Thank you, Delvin. Bapak Dr. Samshuari, terima kasih sudah memberi materi pada acara ini. Terima kasih sudah berbagi ilmu, dan terima kasih sudah memberi semangat kepada pemerhati pendidikan anak usia dini. Memberikan sertifikat bukan hal yang mudah, dan ini saya kira semua sertifikat saya pikir bukan hal yang menjadi sebagai bentuk apresiasi kepada Bapak Dr. Samshuari yang sudah memberi ilmu yang sangat penting untuk kita semua. Atas nama pimpinan jurusan mengucapkan terima kasih. Thank you for your insightful presentation. We present the certificate as token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Rusmayadi. Once again, thank you to Dr. Samshuari for your contributions. Your work has inspired and enlightened us, all of us here today. We appreciate your contribution. Thank you. As that was the last keynote speaker for today, I would like to thank all of our speakers for their very insightful presentation, and to our audience for your active participation and engaging questions. We hope this webinar has provided you with new perspectives and practical strategies to strengthen early learning foundation for lifelong success. We would like to express our gratitude to the speakers, organizers, and all participants for making this event possible. And special thanks to Early Childhood Program at Universitas Negeri Makassar for hosting this event. And before we close, please be reminded that the materials from today's session will be shared with you via email. Jadi materi hari ini akan di-share lewat email, and stay tuned for more updates on our upcoming webinars and event. In the chat box, there's a link, attendance link. Jadi di chat box ada link untuk presensi, silakan diakses. And we'll send you the certificate if you have already access the link and enter your information there. The time, please please open the link, silakan diakses information, and we'll send you the certificate if you have already. Jadi silakan diakses link yang ada di chat box-nya. Access the link and enter your information there. Jam 4 sore. Linknya ini time, please informasi sertifikat. Jadi tolong please open the link, silakan diakses. Once again, information, and we'll send you the certificate if you have already. Jadi silakan diakses link yang ada di chat box. Access the link and enter your information there. Jam 4 sore. Time, please informasi sertifikat. Jadi please open the link, silakan diakses. Once again, information, and we'll send you the certificate if you have already. Jadi silakan diakses link yang ada di chat box. Access the link and enter your information there. Jam 4 sore. Time, please informasi sertifikat. Jadi please open the link, silakan diakses. Once again, information, and we'll send you the certificate if you have already. Jadi silakan diakses link yang ada di chat box. Access the link and enter your information there. Jam 4 sore. Time, please informasi sertifikat. Jadi please open the link, silakan diakses. Once again, information, and we'll send you the certificate if you have already. Jadi silakan diakses link yang ada di chat box. Access the link and enter your information there. Jam 4 sore.
If you really want to get the so we would like you to fill these forms to get the certificate. Thank you very much for your attendance, and thank you very much because your participation with us. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Saya bilang mana buktinya? Kuminta kan memang pada waktu itu ada dana yang dikeluarkan dan tidak dibayar. Saya berani gitu loh. Saya berani. Kalau jangan bilang katanya masalahnya. Ini sudah 10 tahun dari suku dasawarsa gitu loh.
Nah, oke lah, boleh tunjukin buktinya saudara.
Nah, bahasa begitu tuh jangan gitu loh.
Jangan saya takutnya.
Sekarang bahasanya ya, saya takut, jangan bilang takut gitu loh. Masa kalau kita nggak punya rencana, kita action ya.
Saya punya rencana.
Makanya besok kita duduk gitu loh.
Saya ada rencana aku. Saya punya rencana.
Habisin saya.
In better grammar, and it